Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Liberal Loudmouth. So today's video is about the Federal Department of Education. Donald Trump's plan to fix things is to break them. He's going to dismantle the Department of Education, and I want to use one of the biggest dumbasses in education today. His name is Ryan Walters. I want to use his words to dismantle afterwards. So stick with me after this video clip of Ryan Walters, and I'll explain why they're lying to you, how they're lying to you, and what their real goal is. And we'll talk about that after this clip. Just take a listen.
First of all, it would be unbelievable. I mean, President Trump has laid out the best plan for education of any presidential candidates, the boldest, most aggressive, most conservative. This is the reform we need. You do away with the Federal Department of Education. What you no longer have is this overreach and this left-wing drive to push states toward an agenda. Just over the summer, remember when Joe Biden threatened our states by saying, if you don't allow boys and girls sports, boys and girls bathrooms, I'm going to take your money and I'm going to bring litigation against you. These were the type of things we were dealing with the Federal Department of Education all the time. President Trump does away with that. We get indoctrination out. And then secondly, that power back to states is key. This was never meant to be a power in D.C. It was meant for states to solve their own problems, and states should be returning that power to parents. Every child's unique. The solutions are unique. We got to get it back to the states.
Okay, so there's a lot of nonsense in there. Let me lay it out for you. The power was never taken from the states. It's literally written into the Constitution, though not directly about education, but the power structure and how federal power is separate from state power. The power has never been taken from the states over the educational outcome and direction of the education departments. It never was. But he's not going to tell you that because he wants you to believe this rhetoric that we're going to scapegoat the federal government here for our own failures in our states. Oklahoma is either last or second to last educational outcomes in the entire United States, and he leads it. Right. So instead of like saying, okay, we haven't done this right, we need to do this better. He's like, no, it's those people. I promise you, it's the other guys. I'm perfect, but the federal government is ruining you. But he talks about things that have nothing to do with educational outcomes. Nothing. The indoctrination or putting boys in women's sports. Yes, it's a problem, but it has nothing to do with education. Nothing to do with education at all. But they don't want you to believe that. They realize that their base that they placate to is largely not the deepest thinkers in the world. Okay, so if they hear that and they're, yes, scapegoat, federal government, bad, Department of Education, bad, but they don't realize that every one of those red states, if they didn't want to abide by the federal regulations and guidelines that are set forth by the Department of Education, they could immediately get rid of it. You want to know how? By not taking the money. You see, the federal government came in and they were like, okay, look, we got a carrot. That carrot is money. If you take this money, and we'll give it to you, but we're going to lay out some guidelines here that we would like you to follow. And if you want that money, follow these guidelines. If you don't want to follow the guidelines, don't take the money. Other states can take the money. Other states could say, well, these seem reasonable to us, so we'll go ahead and follow those guidelines, and then we'll get that money. But see, Republicans don't want to be the lone wolf here. They know that those federal dollars are really, propping up their states that are already cash poor. So instead of just standing on grounds of principle, which he wants you to think they are, instead of standing on a principled stance and saying, okay, we're just not going to take federal dollars anymore, and then working it out within that state, instead of doing that, no. They come in, they win the presidency, they win the House, they win the Senate, they own the Supreme Court, and instead of fixing and removing those regulations through legislative action, no. We're going to get rid of it. We're going to get rid of it. And what that does is it sets it up for the future so that even if a Democrat were to win, they can't then use federal dollars to, push a certain agenda that they want to accomplish, certain regulations or whatever. And they can't then add money to the coffers of any state. So that's one of the reasons they're doing this. Another reason is that they want to break the state's educational systems so that they can come up with the solution, right? They create a problem, and then they're the ones that have the solution. Oh my God, education's broken in the state of Oklahoma, and I've got the solution for you. It's school choice. Now, school choice is just a neat new name for vouchers. School choice is vouchers. It's the same thing. So why wasn't vouchers popular? Well, because not everything in the country needs to be privatized. You know, corporate profits shouldn't be involved in every aspect of your life. They shouldn't. There are things that you don't need to earn money on and capitalize from. Education is one of them. Republicans don't see it that way. They've seen all these hundreds and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars even that are spent every year on education that they just can't get their grubby little hands on. Oh my God, look at all that money floating out there and I just can't get any of it. This is bullshit. So over the last 40 years, these people have been trying to figure out a way to convince you that the best course of action is to let a company come in and make money off of your kid's education. So what do? They break it. They break it, then say, oh my God, the government sucks. We've got the solution. It's private industry. Bullshit. Look at the private industry and educational stuff. You go through the statistics. Most of these startup schools that receive some of these voucher programs that float around from state to state, they suck. They'll come in, they'll last 2, maybe 3 years, and then shut their doors, take the money, and laugh all the way to the bank. Charter schools even. They have charter management companies where they've been trying to weasel their way in to make some money. Even though a charter is a public school, they're able to be managed by a charter management company. And no doubt owned by their friends. This is all about dismantling something so that it will break, so that they can come in with the solution, which is to let somebody else make money off of your kids. That's all this is. And also it has the added benefit. When Democratic states lose that federal money because they go in there and destroy the federal education department, when Democratic states lose that money, guess what they'll do? They're not going to just cut staff, increase class sizes, and have poorer educational outcomes. Because in blue states generally, they know that education is important. They're willing to put out the money to pay for those outcomes. So the Republicans know that Democratic states are going to pay for that difference to go back to the level that they were when the federal government was giving them money. And how did they pay for that? They raised taxes. So you're going to see taxes being raised for sure in Democratic states in order to maintain the same level of funding that they had before. And guess what that's going to give Republicans? A talking point. Oh my God, look at the liberals. That's all they ever do is tax. Look at that. They raised your property taxes. And they'll leave out the context of the situation that they removed funding, so Democrats had to increase revenue in order to pay for that and pay for the other things that they also pay for. But in red states, they're either going to raise your property taxes in order to make up that shortfall, or they're going to cut staff. And your kids are going to be in a classroom with one teacher with 40, 50, 60 kids. And then they'll be like, oh my God, it's all broken. It's broken. The government doesn't work. We can't have the government be running the education system because look how bad it is. But they're lying to you because they're the ones that broke it. You break something and there's like, I've got the solution. And it's weird to me that you get people who are elected into a government office and they're like, government doesn't function well. Government sucks. It's like, wait, but you're running the government. So you're saying that you can't do your job. But they don't want you to think like that. So they make up all these other things. This is a big ploy. It's a big ploy to push private industry to suck profits out of all of the educational systems that we have across the United States. That's what it is. And it'll give them a nice, neat talking point the next election that comes around, because the Democratic states actually want good education systems in their state. They're not going to want to privatize it. And so they'll be like, oh my God, look, they raised your taxes again. That's what this is all about. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. This is the Liberal Loudmouth. We'll catch you later. Peace.